Oh, good morning, everyone. I think this is the earliest I've ever done a video. I'm about to go for a run, but first, we're going to talk about Nord, Nor, Norstrilia. I almost said Nordwainer Smith. Cordwainer Smith's Norstrilia. One of the weirdest, probably the weirdest book I've ever read. I tried to shoot a review for this last night before the sun went down. Forgot to turn my mic on. So that made for no audio. I got done with the video and I was like, that one was a good one. Started to watch it back, like cranked the volume up and couldn't hear a thing. So here we are. It's like 7:30 and I'm I'm out here in the chilly fall morning to tell you about the only book, the only novel ever written by Cordwainer Smith, who this was a pen name. Cordwainer Smith was a pen name for Paul Linebarger, Barger, I believe, Barger. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. It's early. I haven't even had my coffee yet this morning. I haven't had breakfast yet. uh, and truthfully, the delirious way that I'm trying to speak about this book is kind of how the reading experience goes. This is a very strange book. A lot of, in all the best ways. Um, we follow a character named Rod McBan, a young man who is kind of the inheritor of a really rich farm, like homestead type of place on the planet Norstrilia, or what is known as Norstrilia, is old North Australia, known as Norstrilia. Kind of weird, but it's a different planet away from what is old Earth now. This is old Earth, what we're on. Rod's farm produces a substance called stroon, Stroon. Think of it like spice from Dune. It's an extremely valuable substance that gives immortality. It comes from giant sheep who are sick. Yes, you heard that right. Sheep that are hundreds of feet tall. I think they might be that big. They're enormous and they're sick, and they produce stroon. Uh, Very very weird, very cool. And this farm produces the whole planet produces stroon. It's the one place where you can get this substance. And McBann's family, no longer with us when the book starts, has left McBann this stuff, this place. He's kind of on his last chance to pass the test that Norstrilians take. Has to do with telepathy, and if you fail the test, they give you uh, they give you laughing gas that'll kill you. Yeah, you also heard that correctly. Um, so Rod takes this test. He passes, as you might expect. And don't worry, I'm not really spoiling anything. This is at the beginning of the book. He passes with a little bit of help, and uh, we just we see him essentially use a supercomputer that his family has passed down to him to rig the stock market of Stroon and become the richest man in the world. And I know you might be picturing like some, you know, Redditor in their closet in the dark hacking away, and no, he like literally just talking to the computer like we talk to Siri or like Google, and he's just like, yeah, let's see what happens. And he like wakes up the next day and he's literally the richest man in the universe. And so, what do you do if you're the richest man in the universe? Well, Rod is extremely passive and doesn't really know what to do at all throughout this book. Um, he is not a main character that has crazy strength, crazy bravery, a will to, save others. He's just kind of there, being swept away on the current of this story. And we, I think, are meant to feel like Rod because we are kind of swept away on the current of this story as well. Um, I think that it's very interesting to me. One of the questions I think that Cordwainer Smith poses is, what does it actually mean to be wealthy? And what is the worth of immortality? Uh, what is the worth of immortality? Um, I said one of the questions, and then I asked two. One of the ways I think he explores the wealth question is Rod being so passive. Like I said, um, I think that if you have all the money in the world and you have kind of nothing directing you forward or motivating you forward, as most of our jobs and roles in life do, um, I think that's why Rod is so, he's just like whatever. Um, and I don't mean that in like a he's not enjoyable to read about. I think Rod's a fun character, and not usually very common in sci-fi. A lot of times you come across extremely engaged, motivated characters, some unbelievably motivated, and you're like, this could never be real. Rod's very believable. I think this is probably what ultra wealthy people can be like. They just kind of meander and they let life go as it goes, and they just kind of follow impulses. And we end up seeing Rod. People are very interested in him once he becomes the richest man in the galaxy, and as you can imagine, the money, the power of that, people get interested, and so he's taken to Old Earth to just kind of out of protection. And Old Earth now in the future houses everything from, we got crazy futuristic cities, different classes and hierarchies of people and creatures. We have bioengineered animals that are like humans, bird people, cat people, little talking monkeys, like you see on the cover there. Um, and like I can't properly describe the plot or the weird, just out of this world stuff that happens in this book, but I encourage you to read it for yourself. This is a relatively short review, I think, because I think the large part of the reason that I enjoyed this book was the actual reading experience. It wasn't the analyzation throughout. It wasn't the character studies, the character arcs, the deeper themes. There's some of that here. There's for sure some of that here. So if that's your cup of tea, you won't be disappointed. But I think if you just want to enjoy one of the wildest journeys, one of the most creative minds coming up with a story, that's what this book is. And like I said, I don't think I could think of another book that is weirder, that tops the weirdness of this. Um, PKD usually takes the cake for stuff that I'm just like, I didn't expect that. But the middle of the 70s was so ripe with utterly bizarre stuff, and I just love it. I can't hardly get enough of this stuff that also it does say something, because a lot of people can just write bizarre. You can come up with anything and just start spouting it onto the page, but you got to make it make at least some coherent sense, and I think Cordwainer Smith does that. This book is the product of two novels, two short novels becoming a fix-up novel. You could say this is not the only novel if you count those two, but those two literally make this. So whatever. I believe it's the Planet Buyer, and let's see what else. The Under People. Those were both written in the 60s. This was published, at least this edition was published in 1975. So, Cordwainer Smith is somebody that I wish had published more work. I will definitely be reading the best of Cordwainer Smith. Instrumentality of Mankind. His short stories sound incredible. It's actually loosely connected to this as well. So if you read this book and you really love it like I did, fear not. There's more that you can experience in this wild world. But yeah, uh, I can't really think of anything else to talk about that would be, other than trying to get into the plot and the characters and whatnot. I just think you should experience it for yourself. This is one of those books that I don't want to try to dig into, because I think I'll just sound like an idiot trying to describe it. And it might take me forever. So I'm going to end it there and let you go find a copy of this book. Read it for yourself. Tell me what you thought in the comments. If you've read this book, tell me what you thought. And I'd just love to hear your opinions if you've read it after seeing this video, and kind of telling me, do you think it's as weird as I did? Because yeah, it's a fun roller coaster ride. Anyway, got some new projects with Luke on the horizon. I think I mentioned that in the last couple of videos, but I'm gonna kind of try to figure out how I want my upload schedule, if you can call it that, to kind of work in the next few months. Might slow it down just a hair, because I'm reaching the end of the 25 book challenge that I've been going over for a while now, and I've got my eye on trying to maybe create some kind of new types of videos. So we'll see where that takes me. But yeah, appreciate you guys being along for the ride. Thank you for liking, subscribing, watching, doing all this stuff. You guys are awesome. I will see you in the next video. Take care.